So you saw that the title is engagement equals value plus ownership. And what does that make you think? First thing is, I want to hear your questions. I would like to see some interaction from you, because I want to talk about engagement, but part of engagement is getting your engagement. So what do you want to know about engagement as it pertains to value and ownership? Waiting. What do you want to know about engagement as it pertains to value and ownership? And did I just come up with that equation? Yeah, I mean it's one of those little nonsense equations, right? So, but there are connections between those two. So, what do you want to know about engagement as it pertains to value and ownership? Because if you're not engaged, when you value this talk and you take ownership of it, then you give me something to work with. All right. There's an ancient proverb, Chinese proverb, that says, "When the student is ready, the teacher appears." One thing that's important about teaching or coaching is being okay with the pregnant pause, with silence. Being okay with answering a question and giving people think time. So you have think time right here. What do you want to know? You want to know about engagement as it pertains to value, ownership. Some of you probably because you don't ask a question. You don't want to say what you value. And I think you're doing, if that's you, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. I want to challenge you to think about that. What does engagement mean? What does engagement mean to you? What does it mean to value information? What does it mean to take ownership of it? Uncomfortable pauses. Why is this silence happening? So I'm like 4.5 minutes in, and I want to know what you want to know about engagement. What is it about the equation that is fascinating for you? What draws your interest? People who engage, people who who do stuff and put themselves out there and are part of the conversation, gain a lot more than people who are just sort of watching. So this is an interesting study in terms of, you know, who's gonna say something. Because I'm looking at the Facebook people. I see Todd and Jimmy and Mike and Pat and Usam and Lorraine and Walter and Cesar and Melissa and David, and 3 of them are watching right now. And right now I have 1 viewer on Periscope and none on YouTube at the moment. But you tuned in for some reason. You saw the headline. You saw that it was me, and you wanted to know about engagement. Okay, Todd wants to know, what's the topic? Here's the topic. The topic is engagement equals value plus ownership. All right. What question do you have about that? Thank you, Todd. I appreciate that, because I'm only going to go for a little bit longer. I mean, like, I'm going to get 4 more minutes here, maybe. Might go a little bit longer. So, Todd, what intrigues you about that? Oh, okay. All right. So Lorraine Patton Levis wants to check it out and see. All right. Todd says he agrees. That's good. Now, see, this is interesting to me because the way I coach people, you know, in life coaching and on a tennis court is I don't come with the agenda completely filled out. It always starts with, what do you want to work on? What are you interested in? So if you came to this expecting me to just talk for 10 minutes and you listen, then we don't have full engagement, right? So what do you bring of value? What's your question? What do you want to hear about? You know, and then probably I think there's a good chance that you know, people haven't gone through 8 full minutes of this. You know, maybe you're realizing you don't value this. You don't value this time. This is not working for you. It doesn't work for me. So engagement equals value plus ownership. So hello, James. Welcome to the conversation. James Fitzgerald, tell me what intrigues you about the equation engagement equals value plus ownership. Right? Who owns this time right now? Right? What's the most important concept to build my business? All right. And can you tell me how that relates to the topic of to the equation, Todd? How does that relate to engagement equals value plus plus ownership? So again, you know, I go back to when I come on court, you know, and I've got a student, and I start with, you know, what do you want to work on today? You know, or so I start with that, and then if they have nothing, then I said, okay, I've been thinking about your game and what I think is the next thing you might want to work on. So it's this, or this. Which one do you want to work on first? And they have to think about it. And I ask them questions, and I expect answers. And even with 6-year-old kids, you know, I ask them a question, and I'll say, hey, what do you think? This, and then the kid comes back and they go, what? I'm like, no, you don't understand. I asked you a question, and I want you to think, and I want you to do your own thinking, and then you answer me, and we work with that. We work with your answer. So you know, we have in our society this really strong cultural trait of lecturing. We have this really strong cultural trait of using a medical model, right? You are sick. I'm the doctor. I find out what's wrong with you. I fix it, right? And that's how we do lots of things. You know, that's how we do school. That's how we do coaching, right? But what I'm doing is I'm challenging you, the one watching and listening here, to engage with the learning. You know what the topic is. It's engagement equals value plus ownership. And so I ask questions and I expect people to answer, you know, and it's a little off-putting for people at first. And I know that I lose some students that way because they don't want to do that work. They don't want to think. They want me to tell them everything, right? We have this thing where it's like, okay, first get a drill a hole right there, get the funnel, pour the information in. Information, 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 but no engagement. So anyway, looks like nobody wants to engage. So I guess that's the lesson today, is that engagement equals value plus ownership. And Todd, you know, asked me a question that I kind of questioned him back to say, what's the most important concept to build my business? And I'm like, okay, how does that relate to engagement equals value plus ownership? But I haven't seen the response there. So think about that. Maybe we should come back to this. Tell me your thoughts. I mean, is this too weird? Is it too strange for me to be interacting with you and to have you commenting there, and then I don't give you information? You know, turn that around on the people that you're working with, and go, okay, you know, when I ask them questions, you know, do I want them to have some curiosity? So, all right, well, that concludes our time here. It didn't turn out the way I was hoping it would, but I don't know. In the comments, you know, if you want to comment on something and say what the value of this time was for you, that'll be interesting. So thanks for watching. It was an interesting experiment.